Hey everyone, I want to make a video talking about my experience again with the mental hospital. I think this is a topic that a lot of people can relate to, whether you have gone to a mental hospital. There's usually a lot of fears with people if they're in a really bad shape, not just with OCD. It could be any type of anxiety-based disorders, all the ones I always talk about: PTSD, body dysmorphic disorder, GAD, panic disorder, the fear of going to the mental hospital, the fear surrounding having something that is an OCD. What if I have bipolar, schizophrenia, and just overall, what I experienced. And this was only not even 4 years ago, 2019, November. Long way from where I am today, which is a really crazy thing to even think about. But I think it is really important to cover this in videos, since a lot of people are fearful of going to the mental hospital. And I think to see where I am today, where I was, and how much my thinking has changed can really instill a lot of hope in people. It's late for me tonight. I wasn't going to throw on a video. I have been working all day, but I thought it would be good to come on here and make this video when I was tired, because this is how I felt all day, every day, 24/7, with chronic anxiety and chronic hyper-awareness. So if you're interested in learning more about anything that we do when it comes to coaching or breaking down fears, please email us at info@ocdrecovery.com. We are we're just really happy about a lot of the webinars coming up. The webinars have been growing. They're a lot of fun. The last one we had, I think, was 70 people. We do a huge Q&A, and they're just a blast. I like to joke around. I also make it serious. I make it relatable, and people get to hear people speak all around the world. When I went to the mental hospital, I didn't think I was going to live that much longer than those days. I didn't want to live anymore. It's really sad to say that. It's one of the only things that kind of almost brings me to tears. I'm going to try not to cry in this video. I've never cried on a video before. When you're suffering with OCD, you feel like there's no one out there that's ever going to be able to understand. And it's a really lonely journey, and I know how that feels. My wife couldn't understand. The people in the mental hospital couldn't understand. And I didn't need them to understand. I thought I needed them to understand at the time, but I didn't need them to understand. What I needed to do was work on my beliefs and change my behaviors. But at the time, I didn't know that. So I had 2 police officers come to my house because Erica was freaking out. I tried to jump out of a moving car on the highway, but thankfully the seatbelt kind of kept me in there. I was really adamant about killing myself. And when I got home, I went into my room to play video games, and I heard a loud knock on the door. One of these knocks are like, doom, doom. And I said, "Is that the police?" I think it sounded a lot more colorful than that. I think I said something like, "Is that the fucking cops?" And she was crying. She was like, "I can't do this on my own anymore. Please come in." I said, "Hey, what's going on?" I sat in a chair. I remember I was at the head of my table, and I had a cop here and a cop here, and they obviously knew something was wrong. My wife was in the hallway. She was super distraught. And the cop said, "Look, what's going on?" I said, "Look, I can't stop thinking about my blinking. I can't stop thinking about my saliva. I have OCD. It's 24/7. And the guy said to me, sorry, I just ate. How did he say? He said, "I don't want to have to wake up tomorrow knowing that you're dead. Will you please come to the mental hospital with me?" And I was very adamant about not going. So eventually I agreed. He walked me down. I lived on the 2nd floor, so he walked me down. As he was walking me down, it was the apartment complex very close to my grad school. There was other kids there in my grad school looking at me, wondering why I was getting brought to a cop car. They had to put cuffs on me. Anytime you're in a police car in the back, they have to cuff you, even though I wasn't being arrested like that. And it was very difficult. So we got to the mental hospital. He took me in there. I checked into intake. And they had me in a holding cell waiting for a bed to be opened in the hospital wing, in the mental hospital section. I was in that intake room for 30 hours. It was a mattress. It was a mattress with a camera. And I had a nurse practitioner come in and try to interview me. I had another provider come in. They took a case history. They had no idea what I was talking about. They acted like they did. It's not their fault. They're just doing their job. I was only allowed out to go to the bathroom. And it was a really long night. It was just me, a mattress, 4 walls, a camera, and my sensations. Over and over and over and over and over again. Once I was put into the actual hospital wing, this was a 72-hour mandatory stay. Because even though I volunteered to go, it's called a Baker Act in Florida, because he handcuffed me and brought me there, it was considered, Daisy just came in the room, it was considered an involuntary Baker Act, so that my 72 hours started then. You can imagine my colorful New Jersey, vibrant self did not find that fun, because I said, you're not going to knock that 30 hours off. I was very aggressive. I was probably not a fun person to have in that mental hospital. They tried to get me to take medications. It's not the end of the world. They really don't know any better. You know, if you're not working with OCD all day long, there's Milo, knocking my camera, they're all in here. Then they're just going to throw mood stabilizers at you. I had someone say to me, you know, if you want to go home, you have to take the medications. And I said to him something along the lines of, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but you're not making me take anything. Now, I wouldn't handle that the way today that I did back then, but when you're really suffering, you know, when suffering with a mental health disorder isn't an excuse to act like a dick. It took me a while to realize that, but I really did change my perspective on that. You could still apply acceptance to yourself, but I had to realize that in time. And I had the longest 3 days of my life. I was in, you know, I still have the mental hospital socks, actually. I'll actually go upstairs and show those when the video's done. That will be really cool. And I was misdiagnosed a million times. They told me I didn't have OCD. You know, at the time, not knowing the tools. Again, I was very argumentative with the psychiatrist. I remember I said something like, tell me how I've been looking at OCD for 2 weeks and I know more about it than you do and you're a psychiatrist. I don't think he liked me after that. He left me in the room with the intern, and I think the intern was really scared, which I think they should not have left me alone with that intern in that room because I was very erratic. And I said, have you ever heard of anything like this before? And I could still look at her. She had, you know, this was her clipboard. She had a clipboard like this, and she just went, she didn't even speak. She had no idea what I was talking about. So it's important to apply acceptance. We don't need anyone to understand it. I made that mistake myself. And when I was in the mental hospital, I met a lot of really cool people. I thought about killing myself the entire time I was in there. I was very, very rude to my wife on the single, like, you know, there was a payphone in there. I did get to eat a lot of people's desserts that were cool. People were like, why does this kid even care about eating this much? Everyone else was all really jacked up. My roommate had been on benzodiazepine Xanax for 16 years. I'll never forget that. He was all doped up. He was a unique guy. The mental hospital was one of the best experiences of my life. Now, looking back at it from the lessons I learned, I didn't think that at the time, and I thought that now. And when you're at the bottom of the barrel, like when you're at rock bottom, not bottom, but you're at rock bottom, and you feel like you don't want to be here anymore, and you think that there's no hope, I want you to go back and watch this video if you'd like, or show this to anyone that you think is at rock bottom. I had 24/7 hyper-awareness of my sensations. I had 24/7 chronic anxiety. I had 24/7 body dysmorphia. No, boo-boo. And I didn't think I was going to be here. And now where I am today is light years from where I was, basically recovered. OCD can crop in from time to time, but that doesn't matter to me anymore. You'll never hear me talk about. I just work on this forever, and that's just how it is. And it's important to realize that there is hope. You see her down here. There is hope. You can get better. I'll show you guys a mental health